Welcome back to the Midlife Rebrand. We're redefining this chapter together. To stay connected with our community, be sure to subscribe and follow the show right now. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer that this show is for support and storytelling purposes, not medical advice. Please seek professional care for medical or mental health concerns. Here we go.
Hi, welcome back to the pod.
Welcome back.
We have a returning guest. Oh, this is actually our second returning guest.
Oh, I'm not winning now? That's sad.
But you're still our first guest.
You're our first guest, so you're the most special, of course.
I appreciate you saying
We
that.
have Alanna again.
Yes, and
Yes.
everyone learned so much from you, including us last
Yes.
time, and we're all so excited to have you back.
She was also one of our panelists
Yes.
on our
Yes.
live event, too.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
big
fun.
deal. Yeah, that was fun, actually.
That was a really fun night.
I watched the clips back, like when you're like tickling Matt, like when you did that little like tickle on his shoulder, and I'm like, oh, it's just so funny.
There's something,
So funny.
some of your still shots afterwards that came up on Instagram. I was like, I have no idea what I'm saying here. I was doing, maybe I was doing something weird with my hand. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening in this. Everyone looks like they're having fun, so I'm happy with it. But I was like, I don't know what moment this was.
No,
Yeah.
it was a bit of a blur. Actually.
I was buzzing.
It was.
Especially for me. I'm pretty sure I said lots of inappropriate things I shouldn't have said live. But that's okay.
But I think that's the fun.
okay,
Like, that's why
yeah.
you do a live thing, because then people are going to do that, and that's why you're there.
And everyone felt so comfortable, too. It wasn't, no one felt awkward, or like we
Yeah.
just made people feel,
You got to be real. That's the
Yeah.
magic.
We need to do a
Yeah.
redo of that, I think.
yes,
Ooh,
definitely.
maybe a summer one.
Yes.
We have
That'd be a good
big
idea.
ideas, too, with that, and how to adjust and
Yeah.
make it even better. So, maybe more people.
Yes, more people.
Oh, gosh, maybe
Bigger
not.
space.
Yes, bigger space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Less panelists, I think.
Yeah.
We just
Not
yeah.
everyone had enough time to talk
Tighter.
about
What do you-
all of their.
What are you saying?
But we wanted
Some
to
of us were hogging the one microphone, aka you and I.
People should just be better at competing.
Yes, it's true. Yes.
Yeah.
If you want the
Get the
microphone,
elbows out.
it's leg wrestle.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
We're
That
going
would
to put
be
our
fun.
jiu-jitsu into...
Oh man, yeah. Maybe I don't want to take you too on.
Yeah, maybe not.
No.
Yes.
No, that was fun.
So we're gonna do a recap from
Yes.
last time because it's been a while since we've had you on. Yes.
And there's always things that are coming up for me, but I thought it might be productive to talk about rest, because
Yes.
when I mentioned that word at the podcast event, everyone freaked out, like I was asking them to do something
yeah.
horrible.
Oh, it was insane. Like, we
Rest?
can't rest. There's no time for
Yes.
rest.
Yes.
How's everything gonna get done if
Yes.
we rest?
And I identify with that, because that was where I started too. The first time I was sort of introduced to this concept that I might need rest,
Yeah.
I was almost like offended. I was reading a book. It wasn't even like someone said it to me. I was reading a book, and the author said, you deserve real rest. Not just enough to survive, but enough to really thrive. And I was like, you don't know me. I don't
Yeah.
need rest. Shut up.
I operate on 4 hours of sleep. Like it's
Yeah.
some big prize, right?
Yeah, I have ultra high capacity, and I don't ever need to rest, and rest must be earned. And so I 100% understand that. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately, because my life has been insanely busy lately, and I feel myself getting into this like urgent, panicky, like everything has to be done at super high speed. And then I feel it in my body, and I go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have infinite capacity, apparently.
Yes.
I resonate with that so much. Like, even at the beginning of this week, I had this pressure on myself. I'm like, oh, I have to do this, this, and this, and I have to get it all done. And then why? Why? No. If you want it done correctly, step back, and it doesn't need to be done. It's like you get into this phase of, oh, I'm doing something big, or I'm passionate about this, so I have to go full steam ahead. No.
Yeah.
You're still going full
Yeah.
steam ahead.
Well, I think a lot of it is the all or nothing
Yeah.
thinking, right? I said to someone the other day, they're like, how are you doing? And I was like, oh, I am in over-caffeinated squirrel mode. I only have 2 modes. One is like frantic, and the other is a little bit dissociated and total sloth. Turn off everything. No one can contact me. I have to be like
Yes.
on holidays, but I have to work like a lunatic in order to get to that stage.
Yeah.
And so that's part of my, like, I have to be able to come up with a way of living that feels good.
Yeah.
And not that sort of all or nothing thing. But I think it is, I mean, it's a problem for everybody, but I think it is hard with ADHD.
Well, because you're always trying to earn your rest.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And that's
deserve
what I
rest.
find. Yes.
Yeah.
If I only do this one last thing, then I can sit down.
I was going to say, the problem is for me, and with that, like, I just need to get one more thing done. If I am sitting down, though, I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, like, if I
Yes.
look at, let's say, my kitchen and I see these dishes, I'm not resting. Even though I want to just sit and rest, or my husband will be like, I'll get them, just relax. Well, I can still see them. They're still right there. I can't just sit
Yeah.
and rest. It's so hard.
But also, hi, husband,
yeah.
that's your cue to
I know,
do the
just get
dishes
it
so I can
done.
rest. Like, just be a mind reader.
Be a mind reader. Exactly.
Do the
Yeah.
dishes.
Just get
Yeah.
it done. Do your
Yeah.
part. So then I can just rest.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's so much nervous system stuff in this. So I think our brains lie to us. So we have decided that the thing that we have to do, whether it's dishes or a work task, is so important. And as soon as we decide something is important, right, our brains go, ooh, important, this probably means life or death. And then if we're doing it fast, we're adding urgency, and our brains interpret urgency as, again, emergency. And so we build up these very believable, very convincing lies that we do not have 20 seconds to breathe when we wash our hands,
Yeah, which
which
is
is
crazy.
so dumb.
Yeah.
But it,
Crazy.
I feel like everyone listening is probably like, oh yeah, I get that.
Oh, it's one more
Right?
thing also on the task list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I don't even have time to wash my hands, let alone breathe while I do it. Like, it's so outrageous, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I had to set a timer on my watch to teach myself to drink water.
I do
Yeah.
too. Every 10 minutes at work it goes. And I
Oh,
take a
every
drink
10
of
minutes
water.
I
would drive
need
me
to do
crazy.
this.
30
Oh, no.
minutes is as much as I can do.
Every 10 minutes mine goes off and I drink water, or else I just don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I need to do this because
Yeah.
I don't drink enough water at all. And with
Yeah.
this activity, I feel it. Like,
Yeah.
your brain just is like shriveling up and stuff.
You're doing it right. Small
Yeah.
sips frequently is the
Yes.
only way we
Yeah.
actually hydrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
so
I should
cool.
say the best way to hydrate. Yeah.
I've also
Yeah.
started doing something, intercepting my brain waves when I have a task to
Mm-hmm.
do. And I have been listening to a ton of music. Like, the TV is rarely on in my house
Mm-hmm.
now that I live on my own. And if I have some cleaning to do or some cooking to do or prepping or whatever the case may be, I turn on music now. And
Fast or slow?
usually like slowish country
Yeah.
kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
just stuff that like just feel good music, and it kind of intercepts my urgency.
Good thoughts. I have been doing the exact same thing, but I listen to ADHD work focused music.
Oh,
And or I have it on TV and it's just like little sea creatures floating around. And I get so much work and I feel focused and calm and not urgent and I feel so productive. Even if
Yeah.
I can't get what I wanted to get done, I'm like, oh, I still sat here and did something. And my brain's not like, oh, what's on my phone or what's happening.
yeah,
Life changing, honestly.
Yeah.
yeah. I just find the music makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Well, and this is 100% what I wanted to get to tonight after I did the nervous system recap, but we're going there now. 'cause
Oh, okay,
already
we're
there. Yeah, we're there.
just jumping
We're
ahead.
excited.
So-
this is progression right here.
Yeah, exactly. So the urgency is something that drives a stress response. So we do things in an urgent way, a fast way, because we are stressed, but it also starts stress and keeps it going.
Yes.
So I have dishes to wash, and I wash dishes. I used to wash dishes like it was like an Olympic speed trial.
Yeah.
I will wash these dishes the fastest anyone has ever washed dishes.
Yeah.
Because
You're scrubbing the pattern off.
yeah, because
Yeah.
why? Like, I don't even know. I really don't have a life that is so packed full in the evenings that those dishes have to be done before I can get off to do the next thing in the evening.
Yeah.
Like, typically my evenings are pretty quiet. So, let's say you have a sink full of dishes to wash after supper. It would take you 10 minutes if you did it at your very fastest. If you did it 10% slower, it would take you 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is completely reasonable. We all have an extra minute. If all that happened was I went to bed 1 minute later, that would be fine.
Totally.
But the difference between doing it with urgency and doing it just slightly slower entirely shifts the nervous system because you're taking the urgency away from it. So you're saying to your brain, this is not a life or death task. We don't have to do this in the stress response. But it feels like it's hard to get to. And if you have a pattern, I need music to make sure that I do things slowly. So I have to put on music with a beat, but that's slow,
yeah.
so that I stay at my slow rhythm instead of, and it's not even that slow. It's just not frantic. But I also break fewer glasses by smashing them into the side of the sink.
Yeah.
So it's actually faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
more enjoyable.
It is. It feels better in your
Yeah.
body. It feels better in your brain, and you're giving yourself a break from that living up here in the stress response.
Yeah.
So let's do our nervous system recap. We have these very primitive brains, right?
Yes.
We are very much
Caveman
Neanderthal.
brains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cavewoman, caveman.
Yeah.
Hunter-gatherer.
Exactly. Hunter-gatherers who lived in social groups.
Yeah.
That's when our nervous systems developed, and we're still the same. So our nervous systems are wired to go into a stress response and then come out of it and come back to resting. And then go into a stress response and come back to resting. So if you imagine like a line graph, it should peak and drop and peak and drop all day long.
And that's normal.
That's normal.
Normal.
That is what our nervous systems are supposed to be doing, because that's what a Neanderthal stressor would have been like. And I definitely think about like my poor inner Neanderthal who is just so confused by what is actually happening, because Neanderthals had very direct stressors. They knew when they were being stressed and when they weren't being stressed.
Yeah.
Right? They're being chased by a predator. They're not being chased by a predator. So our stress response, our short-term stress response, is meant to be like 15 or 20 minutes. And so we respond to something, and the stress is good. It allows us to perform. It allows us to keep ourselves safe. And then we know that the stress is over if we're Neanderthals living in a Neanderthal world. We know that the stress is over, so then our nervous system recovers. And we come back to our resting state, which is where we digest food and repair injuries and reduce inflammation and connect with our loved ones and do all of the thinking, planning, logic, emotional regulation.
Yeah.
But we don't live in a Neanderthal world, and so our poor little inner Neanderthals interpret any stressor as a possible threat to life. Mm-hmm. And because we have these vague, overlapping, never-ending stressors, we tend to get into our stress response and then stay there. And we might have little dips, but we're really just kind of living in this stress zone all the time.
Living in a wave pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's what we're supposed to be doing. And in one sense, it's almost comforting because the stress is meant to protect us. So when we're in that zone and we're just flying through life and accomplishing a bunch of stuff, like it can be a little bit good feeling. But then it comes at a cost when we don't give ourselves those breaks.
Yeah. Well, and also if you're living at the peak all the time, a slightly higher peak just sends you over the edge.
Yeah.
And you can't, you just can't
Well,
come
and
down.
we physiologically, we adapt to that over time. So we start to adapt to having that stress hormone in the blood all the time, which means that it takes more stress hormone to get us into a actual stress response. So then our base levels start to rise. So we're living with way too much stress hormone, which then means that we get all of these long-lasting changes like blood pressure and heart rate changes and inflammation and pain.
This brings back I just went to Gabor Mate talk this week. And that's exactly why us women are getting these autoimmune diseases, autoimmune illnesses from our stress response. We're holding it in.
Yeah.
We're not saying no. We're not acknowledging what is causing us the stress. It's so true. It all relates.
And it feels like such a trap. Like it really does feel like, I mean, okay, great. I have this inner Neanderthal that wants to live in a different way, but I don't have that option because here's my life. And I have all of these things that I have to do. And like you were saying, Shay, they feel like things that we have to do. I have to do all these things. Very few things are actually mandatory. They feel like it, though. Everything does.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do it, then it's just going to be more and more and more and pile up. And then it just seems like an even bigger task than what it could have been.
But a lot of those things we could actually say no to. I'm just not going to do that. But every time we say no to something, it comes with some kind of cost, whether that cost is relationship or our self-image or self-worth or the story we're telling ourselves about
or guilt.
Yeah.
Even. Yeah.
I just came from counseling today and I said to my counselor, I was like, I don't like the fact that I have a limited capacity. And I don't actually believe it yet. I know it's true and it's been proven to me over and over again, but I don't live like it's true. I live like I have the unlimited capacity and I can just keep adding things over and over again. And I think a lot of us do. And then we feel so trapped in that cycle of having to do all the things.
Or until you break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I see a lot on my table is people saying, like I can't keep doing this.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and it shows up before maybe they realize it in their body. You're right. Like it's showing up on their face. It's showing up in their changes in their hair. Everything. It's all coming forward, whether you like it or not. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just have to find what you need to say no to, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then I think, so where we get to this sort of rest thing and why resting is so hard, but how we can maybe start to achieve some of it is understanding that we think of work and rest as these binary states, right? Like our all or nothing thinking is very present here. So either I'm productive or I'm resting, as opposed to we can have combination states where we're doing something productive that does still feel restful and vice versa. And also the idea that, so one of the things that came up at that podcast event that you guys hosted was somebody asked a question. They said, okay, so I do take breaks. Like I'll sit in my car and take a few deep breaths, but then I just get stressed again. And it's kind of this like what's the point?
Yeah.
Right. But that is actually what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's okay that we rest and then go back to being stressed.
Yeah.
That's normal. If we can build in more of those periods of rest, it does give us more ability to manage within our stressors, and it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing.
Yeah. And we talked about this with our last guest too, my girlfriend Dominique. How taking that moment to breathe in the car and just recognizing that's a good moment. It's a small moment.
Yeah.
But you recognize, oh, this feels good. And then you start retraining your body.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yes, you go back to stress, that's fine. But then recognize the next moment where you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came up with an analogy for stress and relaxation. Living in your stress zone is like eating an apple, and being in your relaxation zone is like eating a scoop of peanut butter. You'll get it as I go.
Yeah. Okay.
So if
I'm
we
like,
are,
I get it.
if we eat apples all day long, like we can keep living for a while, but we're not actually going to be sustained. We're not getting a very good sort of complex nutrient profile, but we also can't just eat peanut butter all the time.
Yeah.
So stress is not bad. Relaxation is not the goal. Like we're not supposed to be just relaxed all the time. If we eat apples all day long and then we get home and we're like, oh my gosh, I need like half a tub of peanut butter, that's not going to be productive either. Right? I don't know if you've ever tried to eat half a tub of peanut butter, but I do regularly eat peanut butter with a spoon out of the jar, and I have to have something to go with it. I have to have something crunchy and sweet, and or I have to like drink a glass of milk or something. So if instead of eating apples all day long and then going home and being like, I got to put some sustenance in my body, I'm going to now sit down and eat just peanut butter. If we ate an apple and then we had a scoop of peanut butter, and then we ate another apple, we had a scoop of peanut butter, it's okay. Like it's okay that you're going stress, relax, stress, relax, stress, relax, stress, relax.
Yeah, okay.
And then by the end of the day, you've given yourself some more, like you've got protein and fat going on in there, as well as all the sugars that you get from the apple, right? And nutrients. Apples are great for you. But it can't ever be just one or just the other. Okay, so this is the start of my analogy.
Okay.
Apples and peanut butter. So you got to mix in a little bit of peanut butter with the apples, but it's okay that you stopped and ate some peanut butter and then you went and had another apple. That's fine. Some things are like eating apples and peanut butter together.
I was going to say, is this eventually the end goal where you want to dip your apple in the peanut butter and you've achieved life?
I think sometimes you have to just be eating apples. Sometimes you literally, and like from the sort of food analogy perspective, you need that quick hit of sugar to get through whatever the thing is that you need to do. Sometimes that's what our body needs. It's just that like energy that we can burn right away.
Yes.
So it's okay to just eat an apple, and it's okay to just have a scoop of peanut butter. But if throughout the day we were also having moments where we were eating peanut butter on our apple slices, then we are both rest and stress at the same time, which is actually also a really normal thing, right? So there's lots of things we do that can have a little element of stress and a little element of relaxation to them. Like, for example, sports.
Yeah.
So sports are fun, and I mean, they can be, right? Sports can be just stress, but really when we're competitive, we've got a little bit of stress drive, but we're also doing something that is restful in the sense that it's rejuvenating.
Yeah.
So, and there's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
Like having a great conversation with a friend about a topic that you both find really interesting and exciting is not fully rest. It is restful, but it's got a little element of stimulation to it because you're excited about something. Yeah. So there's tons of things. And I'm sure, like, if you think about as you go throughout your day, there are very few things that are 100% stress or 100% rest.
Yeah.
Most of them happen somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But our brains have such an ability to make meaning out of experiences that the same task, the same apple and peanut butter, can one day feel more restful and another day feel way more stressful based on what we need in the moment and based on the meaning that we're giving that rest.
So what does it mean if I feel like jiu-jitsu is like eating an apple full of razor blades all the time?
And then you get a little peanut butter when you
And
get the
there's no
tap.
peanut butter. There's no peanut butter.
There is when you improve. I swear
There's no peanut butter in my journey.
Just
Not yet.
There is peanut butter.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
that was my analogy.
I like it. An apple full of razor blades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a very stressful event.
Why do you keep doing it?
I don't know, actually.
Because it's addicting. I had this conversation with one of our trainers who's like, jiu-jitsu is the most addicting sport out there. And actually, a friend of a friend, she was having all of these neurological symptoms, numbness. She went to a neurologist. No one could figure it out. So she went to a second neurologist. And the neurologist said, I recommend to you, we still don't know what's going on, but I recommend you doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because it's a mind-body connection. It's getting, for me, it's the only sport I've ever done or activity that's gotten me out of my head. For an hour and a half, I am not in my head thinking about anything but being there and being present. And it's your whole body, right?
Yeah.
That's great. You're leading me exactly where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Well done.
Sweet.
So there's different forms of rest.
Yeah.
There's 7 that I know of, 7 forms of rest, but other people maybe only focus on a few of them. But so you have mental rest, you have physical rest, you have emotional, social, spiritual, sensory, and creative. So if you think about jiu-jitsu, for you, jiu-jitsu is not physically restful, but it is mentally restful.
Yeah.
And so you're giving your brain the rest that it needs to not be ruminating or worried or whatever by using your body maximally. And you are probably operating in a stress zone physically, but it's providing you mental rest. If you don't feel mentally rested from doing jiu-jitsu, that it doesn't mean that it's like jiu-jitsu isn't good or even that it's not good for you.
Yeah.
It might be providing another form of rest, or it might be the like proving to yourself that you can do something difficult.
That's what it is.
Bringing
100%.
resiliency.
And I do it because I think when my nervous system is elevated and I'm uncomfortable, there's no place I'm more uncomfortable than jiu-jitsu. So it's actually helping me in my like normal day to day, because I'm this is uncomfortable. Oh my God, no. You know what's more uncomfortable? Some guy's crotch on your forehead.
Yeah.
Who you don't know.
Being uncomfortable or being comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
I was
that's
like, no, that's
exactly
uncomfortable, Jen.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is okay.
Yeah.
You're safe here.
Yeah. So it's more about, for you, it's more about
Perspective.
resiliency. Yeah, perspective and teaching yourself that you can do something hard, which leads to a more healthy nervous system.
Yes.
In
I
the
can
long
eat
run.
apples with razor blades.
Yes.
You sure can.
Yes. So if let's take walking, because most people don't do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Maybe they should.
They should.
But most people don't do jiu-jitsu. But if you think about going for a walk, so going for a walk could be physically restful, especially if you do a fairly slow walk. And I don't mean like a boring walk, but just like a casual, like you're not breathing super hard. Walking is, I think, one of the most underrated forms of exercise. It's also fantastic for your nervous system.
Oh, yeah.
So slow movement is a safety cue to your brain, because slow movement is not what we do when we're in a threatened state. We either freeze or we sprint. So when we move slowly and deliberately, it's like saying to our brain, look how safe I am. I don't have to run, but I'm also not frozen. So movement is, it delivers safety signals to the nervous system in a lot of ways, but one of the ways it does is, look, I'm not paralyzed. So going for a walk could be physically restful for somebody. But let's say you're going for like a slow, casual walk and your brain is just running on a loop. So you might be getting physical rest, but not mental rest.
Yeah.
You could go for a really fast walk and make it a workout, and you could find that much more mentally restful, but the physical rest isn't the same. You come home feeling like, oh, now I have to actually rest.
Yeah. Now
But
I'm
depending
tired.
but depending on what you need that day or in that moment, you might choose a different form of walking in order to get the rest that you most need in that moment. Or rest that you can't get in other ways. Maybe moving your body, like jiu-jitsu, is the only way that you can feel like you can turn your brain off. That's a really helpful tool, so you're going to keep doing it. And you can get other forms of rest in other ways. But now if we go to our brains being meaning-making engines, because again, like we have these storytelling brains, and this also is very Neanderthal, right? Like making sense of the world by creating a story that explains why things are the way they are. We can't get away from that. We're always creating stories to explain things.
We've talked about that lots.
Oh,
Yeah.
How you create a narrative in your head that doesn't even necessarily exist.
Oh yeah.
But it's because that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the meaning that you assign walking, so let's say you're going for a super fast, like a power walk. Do people still call it a power walk, or is that like what our moms called it?
Oh, I don't know. What's the woke version of a power walk?
A fierce walk.
There you go.
There we go.
Yes,
I
I like
like
that.
So you're going for a fierce walk, but you're doing it because you feel that you overate and you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
That's not going to be restful in the same way that I like the feeling of moving my body like this.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this because I want to. So it's the same thing, but what meaning are we lending to it actually impacts how our nervous system receives it. And probably also, if you're going on a punishment walk, it's never going to feel like you're going fast enough, hard enough. So then you will be ruminating, but it'll be all this negative self-talk in there.
And then you're not satisfied or
Yeah.
rested.
No, and I'm just mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why am I here? Why did I do this? Now I could have been doing something else, and I spent an hour doing this. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think the idea of rest being essential for us, but also we can be creative within that and try and find forms of rest that give us the type of rest that we most need in that moment. And it doesn't always have to be, it doesn't have to look like anybody else's form of rest, and we don't all have to meditate, right? And rest doesn't mean just sleeping. There's all these other ways that we can incorporate it into our lives in small bits maybe, or larger if we have time for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ways that we can get away from this sort of all or nothing thinking about, like, I don't have time for rest. I can sit outside and drink a cup of coffee and sit in the sun and be restful, like that's fine.
Yeah.
But it is involving other forms of rest, like sensory rest.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that I like to think about rest as, and I'm using the term rest, I'm not defining it super narrowly. Like some people will say like rest is different than rejuvenation, and I don't care. Like the way I think about it is rest is the product of a nervous system that feels safe.
Yeah.
So when your nervous system feels safe, almost anything you're doing could be restful.
Yeah.
But it also is any activity or anything you do that increases safety in your nervous system.
Yeah, and just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
gives
it's
you
like
energy somehow. Like it,
Right?
after it feels like, okay, I can actually accomplish things now, or something like that. I had that little rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's giving back to ourselves. So I think about it as, what do I need that's going to make my nervous system feel safe? And sometimes that can be as simple as I'm going to sit and breathe, because breathing helps my nervous system feel safe. I think about this in two ways. So it provides something that my Neanderthal self needs to stay alive. And it proves to my Neanderthal brain that I must be safe, because if I'm doing something that I can't do in a stress response, it's proving to my nervous system, even if my nervous system doesn't feel like it, it has this physiological effect of like, no, look, I can move slowly, I must be safe. I can breathe, I must be safe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We did talk about this the first time that we talked about the nervous system, was just feeling safe is a narrative you just need to tell yourself for your nervous system, right? Like, yes, this situation
enough too, right?
Safe
Yeah.
enough, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. This situation feels stressful, but am I actually in danger? No. Are you safe here? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it require a little more mental load or physical effort? Yes, but are you safe? Yes.
And if we can't think our way into that, then we can use our bodies to basically prove to our nervous system that we are safe.
Yeah.
We might have to do it over and over again, right? I take three breaths, and then 5 minutes later I'm like, oh, I can feel it again. I got to keep doing it. And I get resentful of this. I just did that task. I just checked resting off my list, right?
Yeah.
Why am I stressed again? But it is this repatterning our nervous systems that have a pattern that they like. Our safety, what makes our nervous systems feel safe is our responses to threat. So the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, we're doing that because we want to feel safe.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, we have to have safety mechanisms. But yeah, so I like to think of rest as anything that shifts my nervous system towards safety. And it also is the product of feeling safe.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with a friend one time, and she had got some very bad advice about her back pain, and I was really mad that someone had told her this garbage about her body. And we were sitting in a pub, and we had been sitting like stationary for 20 minutes at least, but I was heated. I looked at my watch, my heart rate was like 92.
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
You can just be sitting there and just like...
Yeah, and my brain, and this is another ADHD thing, or I think it's probably a lot of neurodivergence, our brains and bodies are very tightly connected.
Oh, yeah.
I had maybe a couple weeks later, I was sitting with some friends, we were sitting outside, they're people I feel very safe with, we were just having this great conversation, I checked my watch, my heart rate was 62. So same thing, right, same activity, and it wasn't that the friend I was with in the pub felt unsafe, I was just really irritated. And I was like trying to make her see that she was stronger than she'd been told she was. And so I was like really passionate about it and like,
Of course.
yeah, tightly wound. So when I feel safe, when I'm with people that make me feel safe, I will be in a more restful state.
Yeah.
And so rest is a product of my nervous system feeling safe, but also any action I take that leads towards nervous system safety is resting. So we've got like, it's a noun and verb. So it's like result and method at the same time.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Safety's huge when talking about the nervous system.
Yeah.
It really is. And just acknowledging that you're safe, just that word.
Yeah.
I think it's huge too.
Which is a big reason why when people are in relationships or situations that have been unsafe for so many years, you are just so out of whack with your body and your mind. And when you have a chance to refocus and kind of feel what safety is again, it's, to me, it's been life-changing.
Yeah.
In how I interact with my children, myself, other people, at my job.
I can tell. I'm sure everyone around you can tell.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And
It's not like you're at this you're how I am at sometimes lately, but any little thing it would be like, no, we have to do this, this, this.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh, it's okay though. We got this. It's fine.
Yeah, we're not in danger.
No,
Yeah,
we're fine.
there's no tiger chasing us.
No.
Our cave is not on fire.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
we're happy Neanderthals. Yeah.
Yeah. We're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We learn patterns and our nervous systems adapt to those. And we are biologically wired to see threat instead of seeing safety.
Yeah.
So we are already wired to look for threat. Our brains are scanning for threat all the time because there's a survival advantage in assuming that there's danger instead of assuming that there's safety. So unless I can prove to myself that I'm safe, I will assume I'm slightly more threatened than I am.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when we've lived in that way for a long time, like our biology is already lending us that mechanism of like, look for threat, feel threatened, be ready for anything.
Yeah.
And then if we've been in those situations for a long time, we have a pattern that our nervous system is like, I like a pattern, it's efficient. So I'm just going to keep running this pattern until you tell me that the pattern needs to change.
Yeah.
And so telling the nervous system that the pattern needs to change can be any of these mechanisms that allow us to actually feel safe, to shift that just a little bit.
Yeah.
Changing your behavior just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the sources, like the brain is looking at the outside environment and the inside of the body for cues as to whether we feel safe or not. It's also looking at emotion and learning, like memory. Those are areas that I'm not as much of an expert in because I'm more of a physical-based therapist. But so I look to sensory input and body-based changes. So, and my favorites right now are breathing, slow movement, and like slow movement, like reduce that urgency.
Yeah.
Just doing everything a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And then I'm working on sensory input. Like if I pick up this glass and it's got ridges in it and it's cold and I notice those things, I use my sense of touch to observe my environment.
Yeah.
This glass doesn't make me any more safe or threatened than anything else does. But the fact that I'm asking my brain to pay attention to something that is a physical sensation shifts blood flow around in my brain, sends the blood flow from that like desperate danger zone up to my more like integrated sensory processing areas. And it's the same way, you know, the technique for a panic attack, like list 5 things you can see.
Yes. Yeah.
4 things you can
touch or
touch,
hear,
smell, whatever.
Yeah. I always forget which one is 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. I know that it's 5 things you can see because we're very visually driven. So that's
And I know really number 1 is taste, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, 1 thing you can taste. Yeah.
That would make sense, because if you can taste 5 things at once, then what's going on in your mouth? You shouldn't have more than one flavor going on.
So that the way that works is, well, it works through a variety of mechanisms, but one is give your brain accurate information about your environment. So you're observing the environment and you're being very deliberate and conscious about that. So you're saying like, hey brain, where are you actually? Like, let's pay attention to what's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's also doing something that you can't do in a stressed situation, because when we're in an emergency situation, we are using our senses, but only the ones that pertain to the threat. So when we use our senses in a way that is not at all about something specific, it's telling our brain, well, I must be safe because look, I can feel this glass and I can feel the temperature in it and the texture in it, and I wouldn't be doing that if I was in an emergency situation.
Yeah, fair.
So my favorites right now are slow movement, whether that's just do things slower or go for a walk that feels like I'm doing this because I want to.
Yes.
Breathing, always one of my favorites. And then sensory input. So vision, I have a couple of vision meditation sort of things that I do. So it's like meditation with a goal because it keeps my brain engaged. Smelling things like essential oils, physical touch, that's a big one for me. Drinking coffee out of my favorite coffee mug. So can I promo a couple of things I have
Of
going on
course,
right
yes,
now?
please.
Of
So
course.
we have, one is local and free, and the other is not local and not free.
Okay.
But local and free first on May 7th. It's a Thursday night. That first week of May is Cochrane Mental Health Week. And so if you haven't already seen stuff, there's a ton of stuff going on around town. There's like free yoga classes and there's stuff at the library, and a bunch of people
awesome.
are putting on
Amazing.
different things.
Yeah.
Matt, Kadar, and I, the chiropractor that is at Riverside that you guys have both seen, he and I are doing a presentation on the stress injury cycle. So that how connected our bodies are, our recurring injuries, our recurring stress places, how connected those are to the stress response, and then tools to try and break that cycle. Learning
Awesome.
that the body isn't necessarily, not all pain is injury, not all pain is damage.
I think you need to come back and we can have a discussion on this, because that would be huge.
You should just have Matt back so he can talk.
Yes.
I don't know. You guys have a good.
We love your guys' banter
I know,
together,
your banter
though. I
is
think,
great.
yeah.
We have a lot of fun together,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, so that's Thursday,
7
May
o'clock,
7th.
Thursday, May 7th. It's free. You don't have to register. You can just show up.
Where?
At
Amazing.
Riverside, at the clinic.
Oh,
so
at the
Riverside
clinic.
Sports Therapy. Yep.
Oh, we'll
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah, we should go.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Cool. Yeah, I think it'll be really good. I'm looking forward to that. We did one last year for Cochrane Mental Health Week as well. That was like a vagus nervous system one, and it was really well attended, and it was just fun to have those kind of conversations with people. So my not free and not local is I planned a retreat this summer that in my mind is rest. All the forms of rest that I can come up with, the safest feeling, sort of nervous system safety thing that I can construct. So it's at a backcountry lodge and it's a hiking trip. So for me, that's like the most restful, is being away and moving my body and doing something that's physical. I realize that that's not everybody's favorite form of rest.
No, but it's a lot of people in Cochrane.
Yeah.
I
It is.
feel
It's the
like
community.
Yeah, it's the community
Yeah.
for sure. People don't live close to the mountains because they're inactive.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The majority are
Yeah, a lot
active.
of us like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get out there
Yeah.
and yeah.
So
I think
this
that's
is the last weekend of August. It's August 28th to 31st. So it's 3 nights. The lodge is in BC. It's drivable, so you can get there. You don't have to fly in or anything. And it's guided hiking out of the lodge. So the lodge has hiking guides, and it's a comfy lodge. So there's like, you get your own, well, maybe not your own bedroom, you might be sharing with your friend, but you're not like in a dorm setting. They do incredible food. It's all like locally sourced and gourmet. There's a sauna and a hot tub and a huge deck overlooking the valley.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do a
sounds
stress
peaceful.
reduction workshop. So morning will be a movement practice that's like get your body ready for hiking and emphasizing how good walking is for you. So we'll do some balance and some cross body movement and some vision stuff. And then the evenings will be more this kind of stuff, like understand your nervous system. Here's tools to try. We're going to do I'll have some essential oil blends there that people can use if they're okay with smelling things, obviously, to get that sensory integration. I'll do some vision exercises. And then a friend of mine is coming who's a coach. We all have these barriers and habits that we do that keep us from making change. And so that's what she's going to talk about, is a way of reframing that in figuring out what are the barriers we have to actually making changes so that we can hopefully take some of the stuff we're learning and make it stick.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So amazing.
That sounds, yeah.
So
that
I'm
sounds
really
great.
excited about it. I basically designed a retreat that I wanted to go on.
Yeah.
Good.
So
So is
it will
this like
be
a
restful.
beginner's thing? Like if you're not an avid hiker, if
Yes.
you're terrified of bears,
Yes, it is in bear country,
Okay,
but we'll
but
be hiking together in groups
if
and,
a group, yeah.
with a guide.
threat level low.
Threat level is low.
Okay.
The hiking is optional. So it's the kind of thing where like this is about get what you need out of it.
Yeah.
So there will be different choices. There's some of the hikes are like summit that peak over there, and the other hikes are like go for a couple hour walk in a meadow. And it's very much about like if you wake up in the morning and you don't want to hike, you don't have to hike. Like bring a book, bring your watercolors, sit on the deck, chat, go in the hot tub.
Cool.
Yeah, so
I
it's
love that.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to get it, and we'll talk about in our next session here, we'll talk about the different forms of rest. So I was trying to think like how can I incorporate as many forms of rest as possible so that everyone can get something that feels really restful for them, because everybody's different,
Awesome.
and
Yeah,
the way I
totally.
rest isn't necessarily the
So
way someone
where
else
can
rests.
one register for this?
It's my education website.
We'll put the link on
Yeah,
the show
we'll
notes.
for sure have it up
Yeah.
a few times.
Okay,
and-
perfect. Yeah, perfect. And it's a small group. I think max is 14 people. I've sold there's 6 spots gone. So
Oh,
I've got
wow.
room for 9 or 10
Oh,
depending
okay.
on how people stack up in rooms. So so if you're interested, get in touch right away. But also if I get enough interest, if people are like, yes, I want to do something like this, or I would love to do something like that, but I don't want to drive to BC and go to a
Yeah.
lodge, I would 100% put something together that's more local.
Yeah.
Maybe
or if
with
people
us.
we could do
We
a
could do a
podcast
midlife.
Yes, that would be fun.
That's on the list.
Okay,
for
cool.
sure.
She's eyes just lit up.
I'm so excited.
Anyway, so yeah,
cool.
I'm excited about it.
So we're gonna do a part 2, but we'll wrap this one up now because my editing brain will be at the max. And we've given you enough
Yeah.
information for
So come back
Tonight?
to figure out how to rest.
yes.
Awesome.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, we'll see you next time.